Jay, and welcome to the series where we talk about the day of and we pick a prompt. And so I thought this week we would talk about, the four classic elements: earth, air, fire, and water. And today we're going to talk about the element of earth. And of course, as our chat has already gotten into, of course, we're going to talk about earth bending and we're going to combine this with a little bit of a conundrum I have when it comes to how many adversaries and enemies we have in our fantasy role playing game, but at the same time, maybe we have too many, but not enough. We'll get into it. But anyway, please pick your favorite food and drink and sit back as we talk live, the only live podcast, broadcast on YouTube and Twitch at the exact same time, hosted by yourself, you guys as my co-hosts, and me, DBJ. Anyway, let's get ready. Well, hello everyone, and of course, we're going to talk about the classic elemental planes and such. But uh, let us get on the same page with this idea. So, on the day of the elemental plane of Earth, or the elements in general, there is this general idea in fantasy that the prime material plane is made up of, I guess it would be like mayonnaise. It's a solution, or it's a hodgepodge of everything else in the greater multiverse. So it is, of course, spirit and dream, and it is made up of elements: earth, air, fire, water, and then above and below them are elemental planes of radiance and negativity, necrology, shadow and light, also mixing together. And then outside of that are the planes of alignment. And all of that mixed together in a big soup creates a prime material plane. But we've seen plenty of times where on the edges of a person's map in their great world, if you travel just far enough, that what we consider to be real life starts to break down into its component parts. That if you travel farther north or south or whatever, that you will actually see the component parts of nature and the elements themselves. Travel too far south, it turns into, you start wandering physically into the plane of fire. If you go too far to the west, you walk into the ocean, and the ocean is this infinite aquatic realm that goes into another thing. And today, on this day of, maybe what we're talking about is the dissolution or separation, or the acknowledgement that where we live, what we made up of, the air we breathe, the rivers we sail down, the vast mountains, the sun that beats down upon us, and the shadows at night, maybe they are unto themselves. Now, there's been a question about most of the planes. Honestly, you wouldn't really be able to survive in them if you went to I guess you want to say, the core of those worlds. But if you've ever delved into Planescape, they talk about the elemental planes, and then the para elemental planes, and the quasi elemental planes and such. So there's not a direct dividing line. Instead, it's a uh, it's a travel further, find more pure versions of such. For example, in the elemental plane of Earth, there are no if you get to the core of it, there are no tunnels. It's just solid rock everywhere that just goes to infinite distance. You would never be able to penetrate it. It's solid carbon and and stone and diamond and whatever. I mean, I know it's made of carbon and living materials, but you get the point. So, but before you get there, we can imagine it being so many things, like uh, dust and soil and all kinds of I would like to talk about all kinds of earth that maybe we kind of forget about in fantasy. And also when it comes to the elements, yes, we have like the adventure modules with the elemental princes and such, but oftentimes we think of the elements as being like summoned by or controlled by, as opposed to them being direct adversaries to what we want to proceed to. And I think on the day of, we can make these dare I say it again, elements in our world become the adversaries or the problems or the conundrums we have to solve. And it could be maybe it's a festival giving thanks to the earth. It could be a deity that is earthbound, and the living land is where people live, and to keep it from like an earthquake, keep it from moving or turning over, or the earth god wants to, grab the sheets and flip over on the side. It's like, oh, calm down a little bit. Maybe we have to appease this thing. And to to a degree, oftentimes we think of the elements as being um, uh, not being sentient, of being so much part of nature that it is it doesn't have a motivation. But we could actually play with this idea and make ourselves a whole bunch of brand new adversaries and enemies by just reskinning, reflavoring, reusing. Who's to say that there aren't gemstone factions within the elemental earth that we can appease, or have diplomatic relations with, or temporary alliances to fight against another portion, and that within the earth realm, whether it's subterranean or on the surface, whatever, that they don't themselves have their own political factions and their own wars, and that kind of thing. And I think we could kind of have some fun with that. Now, in Planescape, the idea is that Earth can kind of blend with the other elements. So Earth and fire, Earth and air, Earth and water, and then along with that, it's Earth and positive energy, Earth and negative energy, and then the three can combine together. So we can come up with a lot of different environments that our players may interact with or use, or on this day of, maybe the Earth kings or Earth. I don't know what other way to describe them. The Earth nobility rise their heads, and humanity is prepping themselves because they know that whoever takes the throne for the next year or next 77 days or whatever the case may be, this part of the earth will be part of our world. Of course, humanity back in our own past, we had to beseech nature to give us bountiful harvests and foodstuffs, or please don't erupt into a volcano, or please don't shake the ground like an earthquake or something, or even underwater earthquakes, which create tsunamis. To say, hey, please don't do this thing because we really like to live. And it would be very interesting for the players. Maybe they are protecting an envoy of individuals who are there to appease them, or that PCs have to travel much further into the earthen, the thinned membrane on the day of the earth to speak to whoever it is that's causing all the issues, that's ripping crags in the ground or causing volcanic activity or whatever the case may be, and then to say, hey, listen, could we stop it, or fight on one side of the earth people who have a long history, and when I say long, millennium, like, no, we need to relax. But there's the youngins of the earth realm want to come above. And then of course you can't get away from Avatar and earth bending and such. And so maybe this is also a combination of, how do druids and clerics and wizards learn this magic? Maybe it's through schools, or some kind of giving of a mage stone to allow them to have power up with this or something. Yeah, rage mage meets the evoker of dirt. Who's to say that your magic missiles aren't a dwarf cast magic missile, and that they summon rocks that cause force damage that fly through the air and pelt people in the head? I mean, why not? yeah, help the soil mage to guide the manure golems to the crop fields. I love it. I love that. I mean, who's to say that there aren't earth elementals with like moss and plants and trees on their backs and shoulders? Because they might be the greatest amount of pure soil ever. you know, and this also came about because the movie Elemental has dropped on Disney Plus, and it's pretty cute. It's really cute. Maybe it doesn't have much to do with fantasy gaming, but they did some pretty interesting and some pretty fun um, uses of the four elements in a big city where the elements have to figure out how to live with each other, and it's very fun. Yeah, Shy Squad says yes. In the real Planescape in second edition, the planes are infinite, so you're damn well going to end up in solid dirt or rock. Yeah, absolutely. I think they even mentioned something about like infinite, like the gravity is so heavy in the Earth elemental plane or something. I'm remembering it wrong, and I've even got my books in the back. They're not original; they're reprints, but yeah, something like that. Yeah, there's like even on the elemental plane of Earth, I believe there's no sky. It's all subterranean, and you're crawling through geodes and things like that. Shai says there are borders to the para elemental planes, but your chance of just winding up in the safe border areas of an infinite plane is nil. Yeah, well, listen, we want to adventure, right? So you can come up with a lot of excuses, like finding a guide that will get you there, or there's a faction of like guides or oracles or stone speakers or something, and 201, they're all barefoot and they walk upon the earth and they dig their hands and feet into it, and in normal days they're like, oh, those are the dirty people that live over on the other side of the field. But then come to find out that they're like, they've been um, bonding and speaking with the stone elders or whatnot, who take a very long time probably to make a decision. Yeah. Shai says the elemental plane of Earth is like 99% solid, isn't it? So if you just teleport there, you fit in to get stoned. Yeah, yeah. Teleporting to solid stone. That would be an issue with that's a really good um problematic situation for the players to deal with, especially if A, you've got a pretty good chance of teleporting into solid stone, and then B, if it keeps shifting, it's like, oh well, I know where I'm going. It's like it's not where it used to be, right? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, ooh, shoot, moving a little ahead of me. Filth 15 foot rating. Dude, yes, you want to adventure, but just getting teleported blindly to an elemental plane is effectively a non-boring way to murder kill somebody. I do agree with that. I do agree with it. Which you know what? Who's to say that listen, who's to say like a lot of the bullshit that players do, like randomly teleporting people to places and things like that, who's to say it's not still stuck in there somewhere? You've got an infinite plane of basically solid rock, and it's like, hey, that I don't know, Holy Avenger you've been looking for, yeah, it's stuck there. You're gonna have to find it. And the PCs are like, how are we gonna find that? Like, well, you're gonna have to make a deal with somebody somewhere. Which I always love the idea of elemental transit system. So uh, an elemental comes up, big rock or gemstone or geode, whatever. You get inside of it, and then it slides through solid earth, so that while you're inside of it, it's I don't comfortable. It doesn't have to be comfortable, but it's you are inside of a pocket of earth, but it itself is sliding through solid material to then open up into maybe another pocket of I was going to say humanity, but a pocket of civilization that may exist in an elemental plane, and especially if you have a place that doesn't have no matter how far you travel up, there is no sky, it's just earth. But like the thumbnail, right, this is also earth. It just so happens that it is combined with where humanity lives, so earth, air, fire, and water. Maybe it's just on the day of earth is rearing its larger head and other things start going away. For example, Adding a time element, maybe air, maybe the air itself starts to it becomes more difficult to people to breathe the air. Maybe fires that people have set start to get snuffed out, or rivers and streams start to run dry because Earth has reared its head. That would, and mind you, this can be flavor, or we can start adding some like actual mechanical elements as a threat for the players to solve on the day of, because the appeasement hasn't been done. So that's another mission statement, I guess. Shai says, wouldn't you have to become non-corporeal to be on Earth at all? Non-corporeal and able to breathe? I don't know. If you want to take it, I would agree that the further you get into the Earth plane, hell yeah, yeah, you can't breathe. There's no air. You want to light a fire? Not possible. No fireballs, right? That water skin that you have, it's dried up. That kind of thing. Yeah, yeah. Drew says, nah, you get yourself a boulet and ride it through the earth. Yeah, with boulets and purple worms and things. And what would civilization look like? The closer you get to the core of the elemental plane of earth, what would civilization look like? Would they be would they be dwarves and halflings living in the earth? And when they die, they as they get older, their skin, it's the grayscaling of their bodies until they turn into statues of themselves. Would there be are petrifying monsters very common, like basilisks and things like that? I don't know. It'd be kind of cool, and especially if you're on the borders of such a place. I could see. Listen, human beings, we're we're smart, but we're also dumb. So, finding the purest gemstones or mining for these mage stones may be a thing that a maybe short-lived faction that lives near or the day of allows them to travel through closer and closer to the core of the elemental plane of earth to gather these things and snatch them out of the ethereal sphere or something like that. um, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you maybe the players have to solve, like, how do you breathe while riding a boulet? Can you become ethereal and still be on an elemental plane? Yeah, right. Like, if you answering those questions would be I think itself. You could say, hey, listen, yeah, let's say there's an emissary from the elemental plane of earth, and here's where I'm coming up with, where I think we can come up with a lot of brand new interactions, whether they're enemies and adversaries, or whether they're allies and npcs or whatnot. But we can absolutely reskin, reflavor, reuse some kind of emissary from the elemental plane. Like, let's say they're humanoid, and that they're humanoid, but they're not elemental. So what are they? We can reskin or reflavor anything that has a different aspect to it. Like, an earth dryad would be a person. There is a name for them, and I cannot remember them. There could be, you could reflavor, what are they, salamanders, or the Azir are like fire based. Just switch it over and make it earth based or whatever. Hill giants, maybe they're from the elemental plane of earth in your were stone giants, not hill giants, stone giants, but hill giants as well. Dwarves may not be born in a biological sense. Maybe they are carved from the stone itself, little babies, carved out of the stone, and they give thanks to the elemental princes and baronesses or whatever of the elemental plane of earth, and given of themselves. Or, and again, on the day of, like you're saying there, Hunt, on this day, maybe that's the this is the day that we have the ability to, a human being can actually walk, ride, fly, tunnel, whatever there, because by the end of the day, you're just dead. So you got to get in, do the damn thing, and get out. All right, okay, here we go. So it says, the reason I keep bitching. Okay, here we go. All right, I like this. So the reason I keep bitching is that you need constant use of absurdly high level magic just to survive. And I think absurdly high level magic is the cheesiest thing about D&D. It has to be special. I absolutely agree with you. That's, well, again, I'm using the day of as an excuse to do a thing that players may not normally be able to. It's I'm going to bring up this completely bizarre relationship to a thing, but the old Speed Racer cartoon, which I used to watch live, not live, but I used to watch on television on the old UHF channels, showing my age here. But there used to be a race through a mountain, and on in Speed Racer, yes, automobiles, everything, whatever you get, yes, chim chim, and once every 100 years, I think there was this race, and they'd have this race through this mountain. Now, no one had this magical ability to open a mountain. They didn't explain why the mountain opened up and had drivable roads through the mountain or whatever, semi-drivable because they used to drive on walls and stuff, and crags and everything. But it would open up, you'd have to drive through, and then it would close up again. And if you weren't fast enough to get through it, now why people did it in the first place, it's their culture, right? You got to drive fast. But my thing is, I absolutely agree with you about you're like bitching about the fact that in order to do these things in game, you need extremely high levels of magic over, and to add to what you're saying, not only just high levels of magic, but you need it for an extremely long, constant duration, right? Like it ain't just surviving and traveling to another plane of existence. Now you need to be able to breathe the entire time. You can't need any food and water. You're going to have to be able to travel. Then you got to take all your bullshit with you and everything. I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. But I think we can come up with. I like the one-off, right? Like no player characters. You don't necessarily have this as a permanent feature. You've got a one and done here on this day of. You've got a one and done. You better be able to maximize it because after this, you're going to have to wait another cycle or 1,001 days or whatever. Come up with whatever you think for your games. And because I'm a low level magic person. No. Let me take that back. I'm a rather than high and low. I like a narrow focus rather than a broad focus. And what I mean by that is I love lots of magic in the world. I just don't like it being used like a commodity. I love it, like you said, like it being special. That no, there's no way for you as a player character to do this thing really ever, except maybe today. you know, and leave it up to the player characters too to f up their own lifestyle, right? Like if it requires that they make a treaty with other beings, if it requires them having to travel with people they don't trust, and then there's like backstabbing, but then they don't want to have it, but then if they say something about the backstabbing, then they're going to be left behind, which means they're going to be dead, but then they have to travel with people and stuff, and then maybe they have their own agenda. Yeah, the whole thing. Right. Says, okay, good. Okay, the day of Earth is the one day this unsurvivable plane becomes accessible. Okay, good. We got a great theme going now. Right. I feel like we need to have our own like. So you got a script for me? Well, yes, I do. Well, how are they going to survive? Wouldn't that be impossible? Pretty easy, barely inconvenience. Right? It's kind of like that. And I think having a cost, because I like the idea of like, hey, here's a thing you could normally never do, but if you do it, it's going to have a cost. Maybe you know, when you look into the abyss long enough, the abyss looks back at you. Who's to say you? Who's to say that doesn't apply to all the other planes of existence? Oh yeah, no. You can go down, try to travel as far as you can deep into the plane of Earth and find powerful gemstones or mage stones. I just make that up, whatever, right? You can go there, but when you come back, you're going to bring things back with you. Maybe the player characters that travel down into this realm, when they come back, if they stay someplace too long, earthquakes start becoming a regular thing, and they must travel because there's no one place they can rest their head long enough before they themselves get sucked back down into the earth. Or maybe for every hour they spend down deep, someone could warn them about this, the guide, right? Hey, you're from the mortal planes or whatever, and they say that any mortals that travel here, that there's an exchange service, right? You stay there here an hour, An earth elemental is going to come back to the land you came from. Oh, you've been down there 7 hours? I guess there's seven weird, loose, free earth elementals running around. And mind you, we have more than earth elementals in fantasy. We have the elemental Jinn, the genie and the Ifrit is air and fire, but we do have earth and water as well. And again, the greatest tool we can ever pull out of our toolbox is reskin, repurpose, reuse, reflavor. And why not have Medusa and basilisks being a very normal thing um, as part of our world, right? And they don't have to look anything like that. You can have take the stats of a Medusa, make them look like a stone giant, and it's not a gaze attack so much, or maybe it's a like a gemstone in their chest or something. And the minute it starts to twinkle or light with a fire from inside, everyone's like, "Everybody, look away! Watch out!" Or watch out from the there's a light or something, or a dust that they throw or whatever. You come up with they grab you and grapple you, and the minute they grab someone's leg, you can see the stone starting to crawl up their body or something. You can come up with all kinds of weird ways to reskin and reuse, and I think they would be really cool people to parlay with. Like, all right, so Hunt says, okay, great, we're on the same page regarding magic level. Yes, there has to be ultra powerful stuff, of course, but it should be so hard to come by that you could make it the centerpiece of a whole session. I think maybe maybe the day of elemental earth, the entire thing is just to find one key to go there. Like maybe it doesn't start from the beginning of the day. Maybe it's the reward at the end of the day. Like the the earth elemental adversaries come upon the land that we live, and the PCs are running, jumping, scavenging, defending people, having to fight against both enemies with armor class and hit points, but using skill checks, and then being, having to make the hard decision of protecting which loved ones, and you can come up with all kinds of stories. But maybe at the end of it, it's whether they're chosen to be given a single gift, and here's a single gemstone that one of the elemental lieutenants or something gives to the player characters, and they go, "You have one opportunity to prove to us that here, or you've survived the crushing." I'm trying to come up with some flavorful earth puns. I can't think of any right now. But anyway, they've survived all the hazards. At the very end, they're given one thing, and they're like, "You can travel here once," and your relationship and what you do when you get down there, I don't know if down is appropriate, but when you get down there, it's going to color the relationships of everything going on in the future, which would be pretty interesting, especially if the players are greedy, uh, murder hobos. Then what a great way to reflavor, recontextualize um, the interactions of the rest of the world. Like, for example, players go down to elemental earth. They're like, we're going to be badasses. They start, kicking ass and taking names. They come back. They don't think anything about it. And now everywhere they go, it's landslides and crags and quicksand and dust storms and um, sheer cliffs and and those damn seven elementals that escaped from the elemental plane while they were down there. Yeah, here's two of them. They're going to take revenge on you, even for a short time. Or maybe they attack. They attack at the most inopportune time while the players are trying to take their short rest or long rest, and then they only attack for like 3 rounds. They survive, and then they just disappear into the ground. So when are they coming back? You don't know. Well, what do you mean you don't know? Petrification could be reframed differently by getting sucked into the earth, right? Big giant stone gargantuan takes the player characters, kicks them in the chest. They slam their back up against the earth, and the petrification sucks them into the earth. Maybe it kills them, like Kitty Pryde, Shadowcat from the X-Men, right? Like phasing into the earth, or maybe it surrounds them and puts them in stasis. You don't die, the earth is eternal, and without fire and air and water, you won't erode. Maybe, I don't know. Um, so yeah. Anyway, Shy Squad says, "Does the DM play nice on uh, on the day of Earth and automatically put you in an incredibly rare tunnel, or make you non-corporeal?" I'd like to mispronunciate. Think non-corporeal, so you can walk through solid stone, or does the Earth open up for you? And all of those options could be on the table, depending on maybe um, what your DM is like, maybe who the players bargain with. Like, for example, what if a guide is able to open part the earth for the PCs to go through it, but they piss the guide off because they do something wrong, or the guide gets killed, or kidnapped, or is excommunicated or something, and the guide is like, "We've got to go back," and the PC's like, "We need to go deeper." Like, no, you're going to get crushed, right? You need this key, and the key could be a medallion, a gemstone, a tattoo, whatever. You need to keep this with you in order for you to pass through the solid stone. Otherwise, you're just dead. You know, uh, like I mentioned before, when it comes to Earth, Earth has so many different. Maybe we underserve ourselves if we don't use every tool we have available to us. So the earth could be soil or sand or loose pebbles. It could be something very fine, like a dust or whatever, because of the other elements like water or something. We never really think of going into, for example, we don't think of going sailing out into a lake or river or ocean to get to the earth elemental plane, but literally there are mountains that just so happen to be underwater, which has its own other problems, right? So getting to the earth elemental plane, maybe the PCs need to, they can only go to what I'm calling the surface level. So there are pockets of water and heat and fire and cold and air and things like that on the, I'm calling it air quote surface level. Much like us human beings, we haven't gone very deep into our own Earth's crust, but we go deep enough. There's certain areas that we haven't penetrated, we don't want to penetrate. Um, the oxygen levels and the heat levels and cold levels and stuff will start to change. So maybe there's something like that, right? Like levels of a dungeon. The deeper you go, the not only the more dangerous, but the less there is of something else. So the pyromancer in the group is like, um, I thought we were going to the core of the earth, where the core is molten iron and steel and stuff like that. But the DM explains this isn't Earth. You're going to the pure elemental plane of Earth. Your fire means nothing here. Your light means nothing. The oxygen you breathe, it's you need to catch your breath, right? Um, that would be pretty interesting to have like each level. And when I say level, I'm just talking about going to the players start gaining levels, more experience, and then as they delve deeper into the earth plane, the plane of earth, they start encountering things like magnetic ore, high gravity. I'm trying to think of elementally that exist. Salts and basalts and gemstone cities, um, uh, enriched soil that can grow lots of plant life, even in a sunless world or something. I don't know. Anyway, so Shai says, okay, so what kind of special adventure can you have there in one day aside from just surviving? I don't know. Any kind of sites and structures like an Earth Palace must be incredibly rare, right? Um, Again, if we think of the Earth as being millennium old, like it is a place where maybe because the other elements are not present, things survive for a short time. So maybe there's earthen palaces or something like that down deep, and just for a day, it could be a heist, a rescue, a someone or people are trapped down there, and the PCs get there and they're just like, listen, we've got one day. we got 17 hours to get our asses back out of here. Because if not, we're gonna you're gonna be trapped down here with us. So yeah, I mean, maybe the players are given a red herrings are not very good to do, but the PCs could, hey, there's treasure, there's magic. You get down there, and the victims that are down there are going like, yeah, they told us the same lies too. You're going to be trapped down here for forever, or maybe there's an entity, earthen powered entity that is keeping other things out for the sole purpose of drawing the PCs in as victims to maybe learn about the prime material plane or steal their knowledge, convince them to fight on their side. Maybe everyone thinks that the earth elemental plane is air quotes evil because of volcanoes and earthquakes and dust storms and collapses and such, but they're like, no, the other elementals been fighting against us this entire time and we need you as allies, right? Yeah. I like no, I liking I'm really liking where you're going with this. So you mentioned a pocket of air and water on Earth would be like the greatest thing ever. Finding somebody who would guide you to one could be an entire adventure itself. Oh hell yeah! Like what a great reward, right? Like maybe the players themselves don't even realize this, right? Segue, there is an adventure called All That Glitters. Let me try to find it. And in this D&D adventure, All That Glitters. And in this adventure, All That Glitters module, let me see, get some images here. In this Dungeons and Dragons module, the players uncover it's an, how to explain this? A wizard created a tunnel slash subway system to get through some mountains because they once heard of a great treasure on the other side of a mountain, and this treasure was more valuable than gold. It was a big thing. Okay. And sounds cool, right? And the PCs, if I'm a greedy ass bastard, I'm like, oh, this is awesome, right? Let me get there, right? This was a UK. Let's see if it's even better, bigger. So this was a UK adventure. Spoiler alerts for anybody that this, I don't know, what is it, 25, 30 years old, older than that. Um, anyway, at the end of the adventures, the PCs arrive. They actually go through the Barrier Peak Mountains. They get to what has now become Black Sun. And when they get to Dark Sun, the region, it's so dry and arid that they find a bottle. And this bottle is a ever-flowing bottle. If you guys know the magic item, it is the one that is an ever-flowing bottle of water. And in that adventure, that is what's more valuable than gold. It's a very low level. I think it's first to third. No, what did it say? 5 to 8 characters, level 3 to 5. And the big reveal at the end of it. And yes, this is a minor demon with iron stones floating around its head in that picture. But in it, they actually find an ever-flowing bottle of water. And it's a little bit of the adventure on purpose is a little bit of um it's a little noir, right? You think you're going to get this, you're going to be get this rich thing, but at the end of it, you bring it, if you bring it back home, it's not a big deal because there's plenty of water and resources, but there it's like gold. And I think a player character is being able to find something like that, like, oh, you find a magical gemstone that's able to produce a pocket of air, a globe of air. And the PCs are like, what am I going to do with this? But in the plane of Earth, it's hugely important, right? Especially if they come upon people who are like suffocating, or the PCs realize, like, why did we leave that back there? And the PCs are like, I don't want to carry that around. That's going to take up one of my magic item slots, right? But then you realize, like, oh shit, like we're going to need air to come down here. We're going to need water to come down here, or be able to carry it with us, or whatever. I don't know. There's a like the ever flowing bottle or something. Like that's super rare, and I like that. Yeah, I love that a lot. So how about this? Okay, all right, okay. You're gonna shock me on this. So how about this? On this special day, your low-level party goes to a regular, boring cave to murder, kill kobolds, and loot treasure. All right, like in old school Gygaxian dungeon crawling. All right, okay. And then you happen to walk through a regular tunnel, which turns out to be a portal to Earth, capital E. Yep, that also makes you non-corporeal at the same time, but just for a day. Then you have to find the portal back. I like that. I like that a lot. Like, oh, maybe it's just an accident. Maybe you don't know what's going to happen, right? You don't know how this works out, and the player characters just stumble upon something. I like that idea. I like the. I also maybe this is missing from games nowadays, but I like the idea of giving players um, a thing that is important, but they don't know its importance yet. So before this even happens, maybe the players come upon an ever burning torch. Maybe they come upon uh, the ever flowing bottle. They come upon the gemstone of the globe of air. And on the prime material plane, walking around cities and things, yeah, it's good, but it's not that powerful, whatever. But then they go to this the day of Earth, they realize, or they get sent there, or sucked there, or maybe powerful wizards or something are like, listen, in order for us to leave, we have to exchange with people. Oh, there's a low level party that can't resist anything we do. Let's exchange ourselves with them. And they're like, the PCs are not only trapped, but they're like, oh, we're going to take some revenge on whoever stuck us down here. I don't even know how you would navigate the plane of Earth if it's subterranean like. Like, what's, you know, is there an up or down? Um, I don't know. I don't, how would you? There's a monster called the Zorn. Um, it's similar in appearance to the Audiok, but it eats gemstones. It's an earth elemental creature. Uh, Maybe the only thing that people eat on Earth are other stones. That's how caves are made, like the boulets and the purple worms. Um, those are the tunnels that are left behind, and the PCs have to navigate those. Yes. Let's see. Our co-host here says, I guess making friends with a denizen of Earth to guide you to the portal back would be the whole challenge, eh? Yeah, making promises. Maybe the pieces can or cannot keep. Um, or maybe there are Earth denizens that have never seen what the sky looks like. They've never waded through a pool of water. They've never seen what a campfire looks like. That would be pretty interesting. Yeah. So how would you role play an Earth creature? They have their own language and speak very slowly, right? Yeah. In in the movie Elemental, I'm not going to give away too many spoilers about it, but it's cute. It's not so complicated, but it's an immigrant story, and our our story starts out with our young couple that must leave their homeland of fire, and they leave their homeland of fire to travel to the big city, and the big city is made up of water, earth, and air cultures, and of course their bodies are made out of it, and comes upon what essentially is their version of immigration process, their Statue of Liberty, whatever. And the person's like, "Oh, so what's your name? How do you spell it?" And the guy opens up his mouth, and it's just like the sounds of fire and crackling and stuff like that. And the person's like, I'm just gonna call you Cinder and Ember or something like that, right? Like it's like, how do they speak? And it's just like rocks rubbing together, stones like scraping along each other, and stones being dumped into a bucket. And you're like, I don't know how to pronounce that. Yeah, maybe the language is like knocking stones together, or there are like you have a pouch full of pebbles, and the way the pebbles knock against each other in a certain pattern makes certain words. I don't know. Yeah, yeah, or stone striations. So we know that layers and layers of earth and stone create, and the pressure creates like patterns and such. And maybe the players do a form of sign language by like pointing to and tapping against the stone or something. I don't know. Chalk, writing things in chalk. I don't know. Shay says, "Ah, yes, the Zorn, but they are aggressive and not going to be your friend, right? How about you have to cast Charm Monster on a Zorn and make him guide you? Sure. Or what is it? The carrot in front of the donkey, like, hey, the Zorn will lead us to a place if we just keep giving it gemstones that it wants to crunch on. I don't know if I, yeah, or find the one lawful good Umber Hulk. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, we maybe we don't use enough of those tunneling monsters. And here's a side note. Here's a mechanical side note that I'd like to ask, and I don't quite have the answer to this, but um, player characters are in tunnels. Player characters are walking along the earth or whatever, and Earth, a burrowing creature attacks the PCs in whatever manner. Maybe the PCs are in tunnels and a burrowing creature comes from the ceiling and tries to grab them, or comes up from underneath and tries to swallow them, or whatever. Doesn't matter. Humanoid creatures can pass through earth, stone, and attack the PCs and flow back into it. So, because burrowing is a movement rate that maybe the players don't have, does the burrowing creature automatically create a tunnel? Like it's literally digging through the earth like a mole or groundhog? Or is it passing through the earth in the sense of, yes, it's tunneling, but it leaves behind, the tunnel collapses behind it? And how would you make the distinction? And a burrowing creature that say, let's say that you have an earth dragon, whatever, come up with some bullshit reason for why you have some reasons if you don't have it, right? So Earth Dragon reaches a claw out, grabs a PC by the shoulder, wants to pull it back into the earth. Is the Earth Dragon protected by the stone or what have you? Like, are they under half cover, three quarters cover, full cover? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. How you would do it? Maybe like a creature that uses half its attacks has half cover, right? So the more attacks it uses, the more the more attacks it uses, the less cover it has. So if it's got like four attacks and uses one, then it's protected by earth. So you can chop off its limb, but you can't attack the rest of it, maybe? I'm just spouting out questions. Yeah. Shai says, "Oh, great, good tip when playing an Earth creature." Yeah, and here's another fun thing. Maybe the PCs are like, come on, we gotta go. Come on, they're like, quick. And the Earth creature's like, I am moving quickly. That's why I was kicked out, because I don't know how to calm down. Right? Players get there, they're like, great, you're like an earthen sphinx, so we have a question. And they ask some complicated question about the life, the universe, and everything, and the creature goes, yes. Now here's your answer. And it just sits there. And the PCs are like, what the hell's going on? And they ask the guy, like, did he hear us? And oh no, he's responding. You'll probably hear its first word over the next 10 years or so in your measurement, which is that's pretty cool. You guys, great. I've never heard him speak that quickly. Yeah. Shai says, so would you basically have to cast some no language spell? I don't know. I don't know. Uh, or figure out really tough puzzle to learn the pattern of the Earth language. Yeah. Yep. Keep feeding the Zorn gemstones. Listen, there's got to be a. All right, Zorn. Let's see. Get some images up here, because that's one of the. That's a not rare, but it's. I don't think it's used very often. So let's pop you up here. Um, but and also we can come up with, like, the Zorn isn't the only creature. earth elemental creature. Again, we can come up with some other things that we'd like to see. What's it? It looks pretty nasty. Although, mm, I'm I like this one from D&D Beyond. There's an eye. I see that there's an eye like right near its mouth, and it's got the three claws to, I guess, maybe grab things and push things into it. I don't want to hit this Pinterest thing, but this is a different look as well. Three claws, three eyes around its mouth. A little bit of a sandworm-ish thing. Is this okay? That's Are they tonguing each other? Google D&D for some new wallpapers. Somehow got this instead. Became nauseated for 1d4 rounds. There is a Reddit picture of a Zorn and an earthen woman, and it looks like he's trying to kiss her, and she's wrapping her arms around. I'm going to get in. This looks like I can get in a lot of trouble for this one. Oh, and there's one little earth baby hugging its Zorn pet. I don't know. That's pretty awesome. It's pretty wild. Okay, okay. Shai says another mechanic I never figured out about this plane. Are they really digging a tunnel slow, or does the Earth just get out of their way for them? I don't know. That's what I'm asking. Now, mind you, we can answer that ourselves, right? Like, um, maybe sentient creatures, humanoid, sentient, brilliant, powerful creatures. Literally, they dark side their way through it, right? Hands behind the back, floating off the ground, and they just float like they don't even lift their feet off the ground. The ground is a airport people mover, and they just move through the earth, and the earth just moves out of their way and closes behind them, like an aerodynamic bubble of sorts that just makes them flow through the earth. Or maybe they become uh, uh, non-corporeal to the earth. It just moves out of it doesn't move out their way. It just has no impact on their movement rate. So um, I'm trying to think of a different creature. Maybe there's an earth. Okay, there are earth elemental hobgoblins. No, what's the blind creatures? Um, Damn it, D&D. You're gonna make me look this up. Blind humanoid D&D. They are not cave humans. Oh shit! Not blind characters. Um, it's got to be not playing a blind character. Humanoid monster. Not monastic monsters. D&D. All right. It's Grimlocks. Jeez. Grimlocks. There we go. So Grimlocks are a blind monster, blind humanoid monster, and there we go. Let's share that out. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So Grimlocks are a blind humanoid monster, and they are. Um, we can steal from them other humanoid creatures that are down in the deep dark and whatnot. And being blind, while a limitation on the surface world, is actually pretty good. Remember, if they're blind, they're not affected by illusions and things. I think they have a great sense of smell and tremor sense. They can feel movement and things like that. And I think it would be a great idea to steal from that. Like maybe if they have tunneling or something like that, they can jump into and out of the earth as if it's just shadow. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah. All right. So let's get back to our co-host here has to say. Dude, simply existing in solid rock or dirt would be damn near impossible for any creature except an earth elemental or some kind of magical creature or demon or whatever. I agree with that, and I think that would make them badass too. Just being able to with the speed of a free runner jump into and out of the dirt, jumping out of the ceiling, attacking, and then just sinking down into the earth like it's water. That'd be awesome. Shai said, "Oh damn, we got some Zorn porn." Yeah. Uh, the Zorn is like, check out my OnlyFans. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The Zorn isn't used very often because it's a strictly elemental plane of Earth creature, right? By the way, the AD&D first edition picture of the Zorn is way cooler. There's let's look for, it's got to be here. Yeah, let's get to the. So, all right, I'm doing something wrong here. So let's see what the first edition. First edition. I'm going to share this tab out here, and let's take a look at the Zorn's artwork. Damn pop-ups. I know they got to pay for it, but damn it. Okay, so let's see if this will give us. Come on, come on. There you go. Yeah. And oh wow. All right. Oh wow. Okay. Here's the first edition one. Oh, it's not big enough. It's not big enough. It's anyway. That's the first edition Zorn that I remember very well. And then there's I think that it goes in order: second and third. Then we have ourselves the more globular one, which I think is odd for the Earth. I guess maybe if it's more mud-like. And then there's like kind of, this is more mutated again, a little more clay-like maybe. And then we have ourselves our modern edition rendition. So, yep. But there's, oops, sorry, image, first edition. There we go. Mm-mm-mm. All right, yeah. Eat the dirt, make eat the dirt, make tunnel. Yeah, I don't. I think playing with a lot of that, like the more animal bestial creatures probably tunnel, like physically have to tunnel their way through, and then maybe they have to make a conscious decision to bury the tunnel behind them, which would um, I think would make a problem for the PCs to go after the boulets, the purple worms, the other tunneling monsters that have burrowing, but there are really no rules quite for that. Um, yeah. Okay. So you use some kind of psionics to make the Earth get out of the way for you, or you control the Earth. Well, or maybe our powerful entities have like an entourage of Earth elementals, like um, our earthen djinn arrives and says, "Okay, I'm going to type it in." So our earthen djinn arrives, and the Earth moves out of its way. The player characters either don't realize, or maybe they do realize, and they're like, "Holy shit!" That they're always surrounded by an entourage of Earth elementals whose sole purpose is to move the Earth out of their way as they move along. Earth Jin, what is it? Um, let's see. While Jin are simply genies in our own history, for Dungeons and Dragons, they are a very specific type of genie who controls a major inner plane known as the plane of air. But I'm looking for the Earth because the Jin in D&D is a specific thing. Genie, plural Jin, also called genie. Arabic, yes, I understand that, but Dungeons and Dragons took. Okay, what are the different types of? I'm. They're using a different word. Genies. Here we go. Okay, different types of genies. So we have DJ, Genie are genies from the elemental plane of air. Ifriti, genies from the elemental plane of fire, which is said to be made of basalt, bronze, and congealed flames. Janny, the weakest of the genies, Jan, are formed out of all four elements and must spend time on the material plane. Well, thank you for not answering my question. Uh, let's see. There we go. Dow. D-A. Shit. Thank you, pop-ups. I love you too. They're showing up when you're not wanted. All right. Types of genies. Dow, Genie, Afridi, Jani, Kayal, Kayal, Marid, and Klarashi. Ooh. Okay. All right. So DAO, DAOs. What the heck is that? Oh, that's sorry. That's the phone going off. All right. So let's see if we can find a image of this. I'm now they've got me down a rabbit hole. Hope you now got an image. There we go. Earth genies. Whew. Damn it! I couldn't. Uh, yeah. So, yes, the Earth elementals surround you and make your journey possible in the first place on this special holiday, the Day of Earth. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, yes. Of course, the PCs are like they're going to be the meat shield in front of us. They've got a lot of hit points and armor clay. Like, no, 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 no. I don't know about the Darrow. So Shice, member of the Shice Squad says, Darrow, are they blind? I'm gonna look that up. Grimlocks never gave them much thought, except they lifted the name from Transformers. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for enlightening me. What are they like? What are they like to talk to? I don't know. Wouldn't the tunnel necessarily have to close behind a burrowing creature because the dirt is under 100 million billion tons of pressure? Yeah, yeah. Um, unless there are Earth equivalency of rivers or like jet streams in the Earth, like the elemental creatures and monsters know don't dig through this area because it'll just collapse. Um, or maybe there's rock they even can't get through, but then this other place is softer, at least concerning them. So this is softer and can separate, move, slide against each other, whatever. So they make tunnels through the softer areas, but avoid the harder, and maybe that civilization lives in the places that are stable, like a giant geode city. But the softer regions are the more dangerous ones because the monsters that can tunnel through them make these like soil consistency tunnel. I don't know. I think we could. I think if we put our heads together, we could make some pretty interesting things. So yeah, I love the idea that on this day, an Earth Elemental is like a guide or a gift, a portal, portaled being that allows them, that surrounds the PCs or moves the Earth out of their way just to get them to a place. But everyone knows that the Earth Elemental is only there. Maybe it has an animal intelligence and it only is only doing this because it's under control, or it does this naturally, and only the bravest ones will step into the Earth Elemental that comes to the surface world and swallows them up and draws them into the ground, never to be seen again. Um, Drew says, I wonder more where the air comes from in the created tunnels. Again, if we are, it depends on how you're thinking. If you're thinking that there is a single, that these are two completely different regions, that you're either on the earthly plane of the prime material or you're in the elemental plane, then definitely there's no air, there's no fire, there's no light. It's just solid earth. If you're thinking that this is a gradual, it is a blending of, that if you walk, travel, move far enough, that you will eventually only be in stone, then in between you're going to get the para elemental things, right? Like earth and air, the para elemental plane is dust, or quasi elemental plane, whatever, para, quasi, I don't know. So a lot of these things, again, like Hunt was saying earlier, like maybe the whole goal is to find the pocket of air, or you need to get the goal is to get the pocket of air that you're going to need to go even deeper to uncover the secret of the thing. Especially if uncovering the thing is simply, maybe the gift at the very end is simply just finding um, a piece of ore. Not even, doesn't even look particularly spectacular, maybe if the size of a fist or two fists, not much magic to it. But what happens is if you bring it back, the community can live here and not have to worry, at least for a generation, about earthquakes. That's the goal, right? The player characters are like, it all it does is stop earthquakes, really? Yeah, that's it. I mean, it doesn't create earthquakes? Nope. It just stops them. So, like, I mean, I can't use it as a weapon. Nope. It doesn't have spells in it. Nope. It just stops earthquakes. Right? I mean, now I guess it would be pretty powerful if a druid can summon an earthquake spell and it completely stops it. But maybe that's the goal itself. Yeah. Yeah. The one day the elementals say, "Okay, let's let the topsoil dwellers in for a day, just to show them we can be nice too." Which, we have diplomatic relations with people we don't like because you need those things. And the surface dwellers are trying to have great harvests and travel upon the surface. And maybe even, hell, this could even be a desire for the subterranean races to go, you guys didn't realize that the only reason we run to the surface world is to escape the dangers that we have with the we only live so deep into the subterranean realm because if we go deeper, we'll never survive. And we must have a good relationship with the beings down below because if we don't, they can capsize our subterranean cities anytime they please. So we have to run to the surface world, and which would make strange bedfellows for player characters. And I'm gonna look up the Darrow thing in a minute. But let's get these the earth elementals, the Tao. Let me get a bigger picture. That I'm liking this picture here. There she is, big giant forearms, Princess of the Apocalypse picture. Um, I don't want a genie. There's a deviant art. Sometimes it could be hit or miss. Forgotten Realms. That looks more like a fire giant, but I could see that being an earth elemental individual. Tao. It does say Tao. Forgotten Realms wiki. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Here's another sexy pick. You got to have the sexy pick. Cheesecake pick. I'm not liking that one. That's a little too cheesecaked for me. This one, let's see. Is that a Dow Pathfinder? Oh, that's a Pathfinder character. No, no. I'm going back to this one. Rogue Watson. Anyway, yeah, I'm liking it. I won. I do, but Drew, actually, you do make a point. Like, I wonder where the air comes from in the created tunnels. It's possible that there are um, elemental earthen rebels, the ones who have seen what the sky looks like and survived, have seen what a campfire like. Um, the propaganda, and I don't know if you call it propaganda, really, but the propaganda down in the earth could be that air, fire, water are horrible because all those things can transform Earth. It can erode Earth, melt Earth, um, turn it into soft goo like mud surface, whatever, dust. You don't want to be near that. And then maybe they've come to the surface world and realize, maybe we can live together, or maybe they see something they shouldn't have. The fresh air, campfire, sunlight, rivers and streams, um, a spring or summer rain, a rainbow itself, and they're just like, oh shit, like wow, we can walk on the earth here and still be part of the earth. The earth is literally under the rivers and oceans, and yet just above us, kind of commingling. That's weird, you know. And the movie Elemental was about that. The water guy falls for the fire young lady. The fire young lady falls for, what is it? Ember and Wade. The guy's name is Wade. I think that's very cute. Wade. So anyway, Shaiska says, thanks for the great ideas about running an elemental adventure. Very difficult topic to pull off in a non-cheesy manner. Yeah, yeah. I was thinking that too. Part of me was just like, mm, I gotta hold the cheese back because it would be kind of corny. Uh, Corn harvest, get it? Anyway, Shai says not Earth elementals as meat shield. Yeah, you need to do something important on Earth, and they enable it in the first place. I wouldn't do combat there. Physically impossible to swing a sword. Ooh, here. But before I get out of here, and thank you very much for giving me you. it's a feedback loop. I don't get ideas unless I get them from you. But here's something I'd like to bring up. And you guys know I love exploration. So tight spaces. Um, three or four that I'm going to give to you. Okay. And playing with this idea. So here's one tight space. The crawl tube. We've seen we've seen the classic Die Hard spy thriller crawl through the tunnel, take the armor off, dagger in the mouth, crawl through the tunnel. Right? Will PCs even want to do that on the elemental plane of Earth? Hell's no, right? Especially when you have burrowing creatures and earth elementals and collapsing ceilings and pretty horrible. But tight spaced crawl tunnel. Now, one B of that would be a crawling tunnel that is vertical. So um, um, going up a chimney of sorts, having to wedge your body and your legs and feet against one side or the other, with maybe a couple of ledges here, or a place to sit your rear end down, or put a lantern on or something. And the PCs must scale down or climb up a narrow tunnel, a chimney of some sort. Third one is extremely low ceiling, super wide plane. So 3, 4, 5 PCs can be side by side, but they all have to be on their knees or duck their head, hands and feet crawling on their hands and knees, or sliding on their chests or their backs, like going under a crawl space of a house. If you've ever, I've been under crawl spaces of houses, and there's nothing more catching in the throat of a so-called non-threatening location, which is the crawl space of a house. If you've ever, because I have a crawl space in my basement, and that crawl space, it's between hands and knees and ducking my head down crawl space, because I have like a half basement, and it's my own house, and I hate it. Yeah. Combat in tight spaces is all well and good, but the elemental planes are all full of nothing but rarely killable monsters, and you want to make friends with or avoid. Hell, yeah, you don't want to have a fight with them, which might, you know, how do the player characters navigate that? Like, befriending a lion or tiger could be meat. It could be using some kind of incense. There's certain kinds of behaviors and stuff. Befriending a bear. How do you befriend an earth elemental? Yeah, because on one hand, Planescape 2 tells you this is serious. Solid earth and rock, right? Oh. On the other hand, they say there are sites, there are castles in solid rock, and you can adventure in the pure dirt. Yeah. And like, where's the gravity at? If there's we can play with so many different things. Like, is the gravity where your feet are located so you can walk on the ceilings, and there's monsters and creatures that just walk on ceilings? Where's the light come from? Is the earth so dense that it even sucks up light, so that even the player characters who have dark vision, light spells, things like that, like all that is gone? Oh no. Yeah, so damn, I would be scared to go in a crawl space, and I'm not even claustrophobic about it. Yeah, I had to. Sometimes you have things you have to do in a crawl space. And my grandfather was a construction worker, and he did when he left construction work, he did a lot of home repairs and things on the side. And I was a kid, so small kid, tight space, fixed the thing, plumbing, whatever. Some people had sinking floors. You had to use jacks down there and stuff like that. So I've done. I don't know much about it. I was just like, person knocks on floor. Are you underneath me? Yes. Drill comes through. Saw comes. Oh, there you go. That kind of stuff. But yeah, finding animals down there and things like that all the time. So anyway, guys, elemental plane of Earth. I think we haven't even gone deep enough into it, but we sure can. Of course, it's going to be earth. Tomorrow is going to be air, and then fire and water, and then we're going to talk about Gaia herself, the planet Earth, Terra itself in my sci-fi setting. But whatever the case might be, let's deal with our elemental figures here. Guys, thank you so much for being part of the show. Hunt was just blasting me with the questions and stuff like that, which I love. Oh my god, because it keeps me on my toes, and I like what's the first thing in my head? What's the first thing I think of? What's the first thing? Because usually our instincts, yeah, Captain. Oh shit. Oh, there's some funny ass Captain Planet um comedy seek. Oh shit, Don Cheadle. It's hilarious. It is absolutely hilarious. Has this ever been in any other kind of tunnel or sewer, underground utility or anything? Yes, I have. I've been spelunking. Um, Pennsylvania, Blue Mountain, spelunk, spelunking. I'm butchering I'm butchering the pronunciation of it, but I've been spelunking. Yeah, and it's a I don't want to say common, but it's a pretty affordable type of pastime in the United States, especially if you live anywhere near um, the Appalachia Mountains and further west out towards like the Colorado mountains and such. Lots of places out there in the U.S. And so it's a thing that you can do. I've done it once, and I it was scary, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Yep. Caving, also known as spelunking in the United States and Canada. Yep. What does Wikipedia say about it? Yeah, so I have. Yep, I look just like that dude, muddy and dirty. Yeah. Let's put this up here. Uh, Captain Planet. Okay. Okay, good. This is going to be fun. Okay, thanks for the brainstorming. I hope you have another arbitrary fraction of eternity gets off to a good start. Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Thanks for bringing the the best and the brightest that you have. I really appreciate that as well. Again, come on, let's think outside the box when it comes to a lot of the things that we have in our role playing games. And if you've gotten this far in the show, please like, share, subscribe, do all the stuff, man. Give the thumbs up. Defeat the algo monsters if you don't mind. And by the way, have a great day. Shai says, "Oh shit, got to talk about the salt caves near Krakow, Poland. Statues made of salt down there. Maybe next time." Yeah, the Day of Terror. Hell yeah, absolutely. So, guys, have a great one. I will see you later. Peace.